Biden, the president, boarding Air Force One now to head back to Washington, D.C. After his town hall with our Anderson Cooper ended just moments ago. And the president, during that town hall, condemning the growth of white supremacy tonight. That is, a top Democratic lawmaker sues the former president over his role in the January 6th Capitol riot. So joining me now to discuss is delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands and the former impeachment manager, Stacey Plaskett. We're so happy to have her here. Thank you so much for joining. And you're the first lawmaker to be able to discuss the president going out and meeting with the American people, having a town hall tonight. So I want you to listen to, good evening to you, I want you to listen to what the president said about his plan to take on white supremacy first. Here it is.
Sure.
I got involved in politics to begin with because of civil rights and opposition to white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, and the most dangerous people in America continue to exist. That is the greatest threat to terror in America, domestic terror. And so I would make sure that my Justice Department and the Civil Rights Division is focused heavily on those very folks. And I would make sure that we, in fact, focus on how to deal with the rise of white supremacy. And you see what's happening in the studies that are beginning to be done, maybe at your university as well, about the impact of former military, former police officers on the growth of white supremacy in some of these groups. You may remember in one of my debates with the former president, I asked him to condemn the Proud Boys. He wouldn't do it. He said, stand by, stand ready, or whatever the phrase exactly was. It is a bane on our existence. It has always been, as Lincoln said, we have to appeal to our better angels. And these guys are not, and women are, in fact, demented. They are dangerous people.
Well, Congressman, I don't need to tell you the kind of people who showed up at the Capitol with, of that ilk. Does the president have the right idea about what needs to happen?
I think he does. And wasn't it refreshing to hear someone speaking to us, a president who was speaking transparent with a great deal of transparency, explaining what he knew, what he didn't know as he was talking to that little girl, the young American, and outlining how he was going to tackle issues that are really very large. With the issue of white supremacy, I think that it's going to have to be multi-layered. And so I'm so grateful to Congressman Benny Thompson, who's chairman of Homeland Security, working with the NAACP to actually, go after some of the incidents that happened on January 6th, along with other prosecutorial offices, as well as the president himself speaking out against it. We know that in the last administration, the FBI, under Director Chris Wray, raised the alarms about white supremacy and extremist groups being a major terrorist threat, but they did not have the force of the president supporting them and was thwarted many times in that effort. So I think this is a turning leaf for us, one, to be very clear about what is going on in this country, and then being very vigilant on how to tackle it.
Listen, I know that you were an impeachment manager, but you do other things, and you are on other committees when it comes to Washington, your work that you do in Washington, D.C. So let's talk about something that's very important to you, because the president touted his COVID relief package tonight. He says the money needs to be spent now so that the country can come roaring back. As it stands now, Democrats are going to have to pass this on their own. Is that fine with you? Are you okay with that?
Listen, elections have consequences, and fortunate for us, one of the consequences is that we are in the majority. Would we like to have negotiations in which we can have a bipartisan effort? Of course, because history has shown us that those bills that are passed with bipartisan support usually have much more lasting efforts when we're negotiating among ourselves. But we are in desperate times right now. I know the people of the Virgin Islands who have relied so heavily on tourism are really feeling the brunt of the COVID pandemic, never mind what's happening to our schools, our small businesses, as well as our healthcare workers. So we've got to be aggressive in tackling this. And if that means that Democrats have got to take the lead to get that done, then that's what's going to happen.
He said that we can, meaning him and lawmakers, can create 7 million jobs this year. The economy has to be dealt with now. We need unemployment insurance. Look at the people in food lines, he said. Look at the people being kicked out of their apartments. Look at the people missing out on mortgage payments. How much longer can it go on this, well, we're going to do it, we're going to do it, we're going to do it? When does the action actually happen, Congresswoman?
Well, Speaker Pelosi has indicated that she's ready to get something done in the next week. While I was an impeachment manager and working on my presentation before the Senate, in between that, I was in the conference room in markups with the Ways and Means Committee on the Agriculture Committee. We're doing the work. We're getting the legislation together for it to be brought to the Senate and for the Senate to then do its job and bring it to the president's desk for signature. We've got to look at nutrition. We've got to look at healthcare workers and supporting them as well as crushing the virus in nursing homes and making sure that teachers feel safe and that we've been transparent with them so our children can get back to school and get to learning, that parents feel secure as they are going to work, that there's a place for their children, as well as you said, providing that support to small businesses and unemployment insurance all at the same time. That's got to be big. It's got to be bold. And then on top of that, we need to continue to begin working on the president's plan to build back better. That means infrastructure. I'm part of the new Democratic coalition where we're really very focused on infrastructure and economic development to try and support businesses and innovation, which America has always been at the forefront of in this country.
Well, also about rebuilding some of the trust in our institutions, which was our institutions were attacked during the last administration, and also some independence. At the town hall, the president said that he will never tell his Justice Department who to investigate, who not to investigate. He was responding to a question about the former president's role in the riot at the Capitol. What do you think of that?
I think that, again, that is the right attitude. The Department of Justice, I worked at the Department of Justice in the Bush administration, working for tremendous men, Larry Thompson, James Comey, working with Chris Wray and Robert Mueller. And the Justice Department needs to be able to do its work. They are the people's Justice Department, and they need to be, the Attorney General is the Attorney General for the people of the United States, not the private attorney for the President of the United States. So I'm happy to hear him say that. And, as a child of a law enforcement officer, my dad was a New York City police officer for 30 years, my grandfather as well. It's also refreshing to hear him talk about community policing and police officers wanting to be a support to communities. We need to give them the tools to be able to do that, not to continue to make them military operations, but to make them to support and protect the communities in which they work, whether that's through education, whether that's through programming. I'm in favor of Ayanna Pressley's bill to get rid of qualified immunity, which has really been kind of a blanket under which police officers can operate as almost as the clans, to not be punished for ill against communities, and particularly African American communities. So I'm happy to hear him talk about the independence of the Justice Department while at the same time being a protector of those people who need the support of the president and the Justice Department at the same time.
Well, Congresswoman, I enjoyed our conversation. I hope you'll come back and we can talk more policy in the future. In the meantime, get some rest because I've seen you everywhere this week and you've been a very busy person. Thank you so much.
Ready to go home tomorrow to the Virgin Islands, and I welcome you down as well.
Yeah, send some sunshine and warmth back here because we're dealing with the cold spell and a storm over much of the country. Thank you very much, Congresswoman. I'll see you soon. Be safe.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
President Biden tonight saying by the end of July, everybody who wants a vaccine will be able to get one, and going on to say things could be very different by next Christmas.
As my mother would say, with the grace of God and the goodwill of the neighbors, that by next Christmas, I think we'll be in a very different circumstance, God willing, than we are today.